am Amber and I'm an intuition and subconscious breakthrough mentor. I created this podcast for you to show you your infinite potential, help you break down the barriers to more love in your life, and to make joy a choice by listening to your intuition. No matter if you're married or single, this show is for you because the world would be a much more loving and better place if we learned to all date ourselves. Together we let go of fears and resistance around your dream life so you can show up in your full authenticity. Disclaimer, listening to this podcast might result in a continuous glow up. Let's start the show. Hello my lovely people, welcome back to Date Yourself, or when you're listening for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode can be a little heavy, especially if you are dealing with toxic people right now or you're healing from a toxic encounter. So I want you to take it with a grain of salt. I wanted to record this episode because I've lived through many experiences with toxic people and I have learned how to move on from them, how to identify when you are interacting with a toxic person. So maybe you're not sure, you're just like, what is this? What's going on? I also want you to be discerning as to how toxicity shows up in you, because we all have toxic traits, right? And understanding it helps it to identify it and then let it go or deal with it in a better way. That's what this episode is going to be about. It's going to be about being authentic, listening to our own truth. Toxic people or snakes or however you want to call it want to make you believe that their truth is the truth, and they are going to try to steer you away from your own truth. So you will feel disempowered. So they will have the power, so they can call the shots, right? And so if you are feeling disempowered and you want to get back into your own power, listen to your own truth, this is the episode for you. Without further ado, let's just get into it. So I want to call myself out first, because I'm going to ask you to be really honest about yourself and your life. And so I think that I should be doing the same if I'm going to ask that from you. So I have, and I've talked about this before, but I have been a people pleaser when I was younger, and it was pretty bad. It was to the point where I lost myself, and this was like until the age of 17, I think, where I just felt really lost and was just like, what am I actually trying to do here? I was trying to prove my worth to others. I was trying to do everything right, and then lost myself in the process. And through doing that, through giving a lot, which is what people pleasers do, people could easily take from me because I was just so given. I would probably do anything for you, right? Until I didn't anymore. And that is where people's taking tendencies started to really show up for me. And I was able to recognize oh, you're just with me because you get something from me, right? And I did that. And in a way, I was also toxic. And I'm not blaming myself here. I have a lot of self-compassion for that younger me because it was my coping mechanism. It was how I was brought up. It was how I thought I could get love from family, friends, whatever, right? Because people pleasing is actually if I'm doing everything right, if I'm going to be giving you stuff, you are going to appreciate me and want to have me in your life, right? And maybe I also feel like I deserve something in return because I'm giving you so much. So that's manipulation, right? I did not see this. And I think that if you are a people pleaser, you also won't see this, because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it, because it doesn't feel really good, actually. And so when I was 17 and I felt lost, I was just like, why am I doing this? I feel so tired all the time. Other people are not giving me equal stuff because I was giving so much. Other people were just like, why would I do that? Which is valid. And so I stopped doing it. And I started to listen to my own truth. I started to say no to people. And the more that I have been doing that, I'm now 26, so I've had a lot of practice. And along the way, I've also gotten into relationships that were toxic, following up to being 26. So I think that I've had my fair share of experiences knowing how to deal with this. And if you're in a toxic relationship, situationship, or whatever, it's tough. So this is the part where we discuss how can you acknowledge it, how can you look out for it. Like I said in the intro, you will feel depleted and you won't feel truly empowered, not like yourself. If it's about a romantic interest, it's going to be even harder because you're going to feel enamored by them, right? You might put them on a pedestal. And so that is also not going to make you feel empowered because then you're placing yourself beneath them, right? And toxic people can also be really sweet people. And you are just like, how could this sweet person use me in this way, right? But they're still toxic people. If you are going to let that blind you, you're going to stay trapped in that. And you're going to deplete yourself from that energy. You're going to deplete yourself from feeling empowered because they still feel like they can call the shots because you're not stepping up into that equal energy, putting yourself on a pedestal. And so there is a disbalance in that energy. So other ways that it can show up. Maybe they are trying to make you feel guilty about having your own feelings. They will try to make you feel guilty for having your own opinion. Because maybe they will say like, oh, but in my past, this and this and this person also said that to me. Now I can never be myself because it's never good enough, those kinds of things. Gaslighting, I'm not sure if everyone knows that term, but that's a pretty common sign that someone is pretty toxic. It kind of correlates with what I just said of like not acknowledging your opinion or your feelings. It's like, yeah, you feel this, but actually that doesn't matter because the truth is this, or no, you've got it all wrong because you are seeing it different than me and my truth is the truth. Gaslighting is essentially just saying like your thoughts, your feelings, your opinion doesn't matter and I'm just going to overrule it with mine. Another fun one is self-pity. So wanting others to know that you're feeling this thing, they are in a bad state and like that is so valid. But self-pity is just dwelling on that and giving the control away, wanting others to resolve the problem or take care of you to the extent that they don't own their own problems. They don't own their own feelings. They're just like, oh, I'm this and it's so hard and you should just help me. Again, there are many different reasons for people to do all these things that I've just listed. Coping mechanisms, trauma. Otherwise, people wouldn't be doing this, right? Some people just haven't learned how to take responsibility for their own shit. And so they put it on you. For example, like, because of that role that I took on as the pleaser, I felt like the mom for a long time with people that I've spent time with, like guys that I've dated, girls that I've dated, friends. I was always the mom friend. I would keep the group together. And the mom is helping others and can take responsibility for your shit. I did this because that is what people pleasers do. They see a gap and they try to fill it. They try to do what is right for the other person because they can intuitively feel what they need. Empaths are like that as well. We are healing other people because we can see what they are lacking. We can see what they need. And so we fill that space. But what I saw a lot and what I felt a lot is that people needed a mom. They were not adult enough to take the responsibility for their own feelings, for their own problems. They wanted someone to solve it. And because I was in need of love or attention or whatever I was when I was that age, I tried to fill that role. It showed me, even when I was older and even now as well, dealing with other people, that there are still a lot of people who don't take responsibility for their own shit. Because they just don't know how to do it, because it might feel heavy, because they might have to look at their demons and deal with them. They might have to deal with their past. They might have to deal with their mistakes and their shame. just trying to outsource it basically to other people helps them to postpone that moment of having to deal with it. So there is always a reason for people to be toxic. It's mostly avoiding the pain. If we're using other people, we don't stand in our own power. We just take because we need that from you. It's not wanting because you are awesome and I admire you and let's work together. No, it's I need this from you and you're going to give it to me no matter what. And even if people don't see it or want to do it, they will manipulate and they will try to take because that need is so strong. And maybe you know of like the pyramid of, I'm not even sure what, I didn't look this up, but there is this graphic, this diagram of this pyramid of the needs that people have, like food and shelter, right? I think that's at the top. And then there's also the feeling of belonging, of community, money, all these resources, right? If those first initial needs are not met, people will do anything to get it. And so if people are in their survival mode, if they have trauma, they keep stuck in that need to get what they need because it's like their primal instinct. It's like their primal feeling of I need this no matter what, otherwise I won't survive. And that is not even really like it is their fault of to like how they're handling it. But if you are in a lack mentality of like there isn't enough, I need to get this otherwise I will die, it's a bodily response. So what happens if you step out of that is then you have to take responsibility for the way that you've handled it. If you can see it in a way that there isn't any lack, there is actually enough. There are enough people that you will meet and will love you. There are enough ways to make money because you can try to learn something new. You can try to apply for that job that you really want but are scared of. You can try to get advice but start. Like there are many people who see someone have something and they're just like, oh, I need to talk to you. I need to piggyback right onto you to get, because you already have it. And like you can easily give me a piece of that, right? Well, maybe that person had to work years and years and try and fail to get there. And so that other person is just like, let me take from you instead of taking responsibility and do it themselves, right? So if you believe in yourself, if you take responsibility for what you want and you go get it, that is not thinking in a lack mentality. That is believing in yourself, right? And that is the insight that I want to give you here. It's like, are you operating from a lack mentality? Are there ways where you are trying to take maybe, and again, like if this is you in some type of capacity, because it is definitely a spectrum, I've been on it myself. Are you operating from a lack mentality or abundance? Are you taking responsibility or are you in a pity mentality? Again, there is a spectrum on this. And you're not a bad person if you have tried to make your life better. We all have our reasons for it. And that's why you need to use your discernment. So if you can acknowledge this within yourself, you can easily also see it within others. It might take you some time because people are sneaky and they might not show their ill intentions until later. Like, for example, when you meet someone, they might be this amazing person and they will do everything right. And then later you see them change. You see them trying to force their opinion on you and try to change you, and certainly you are not their universe anymore. It's just like, no, you should actually be just like me. It's not your fault to not have seen that. This happened in my life a few times as well. Like, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I think that's really healthy because I've also, after a really toxic relationship, try to stay out of everyone's life, not meet any new people. That is worse, in my opinion, because that's also not empowering you. I want you to end this episode with a feeling of empowerment, because if you are going to feel comfortable believing in your own truth, feeling your own feelings, and taking responsibility for your life, you can meet new people. You can still stand in your own power and not take their bullshit. So when I now recognize toxicity in someone else, I'm going to call it out. I am going to talk about it. That is sometimes fucking uncomfortable. It's not easy. But it's better than to stay ignorant and hoping, praying that it goes away and won't get worse or whatever. There are situations where you've tried to call it out and sometimes they just ignore it, don't do anything about it, or they might seem like they get it and they have feelings about it. You see like it's sinking in, but then the pattern repeats itself. That is a malfunction in the brain. That is them being manipulated by other people or their own demons, not wanting to see them and acknowledge them. And I think that even though we might love these people, it is still safer for us to take our distance or to cut them off. And especially if you are not familiar with taking space for yourself, protecting yourself in that way of creating distance or cutting people off, the first time is going to be the hardest. And I do promise you that it gets better, because every time that you cut someone off who is disempowering you, you empower yourself. I think that we have the responsibility to take care of ourselves and also take care of our inner child. We need to, some people will tell you that they have the best intentions and you think that they do, but then they don't, and I try to convince you that they really actually do. You know what is best for you, and no one can convince you of what is best for you. Some people will have the best intentions and they will prove it to you again and again, and they might mess up and then they will make it up to you. For sure, a firm believer of giving people more chances, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. I have some toxicity within myself. I try to take responsibility for that and learn from it and move on. But that's the difference. Can they learn from it, acknowledge it, take responsibility and move on? If they cannot, it's best to take your space. Because these people, if they cannot see it, if they cannot take responsibility for it, they will repeat it. It will be repeated over and over again. And every time you get hurt again and again and again. The beautiful thing about empowering yourself and speaking your truth and not letting them persuade you is that the relationship can also change. When you start to show your personal power, they cannot stay in the same energy. Like I said, when you put them on the pedestal, the balance is off, right? If you take back your power, if you set yourself on the pedestal, you're not beneath them anymore. You're equal. So the secret to this whole thing is to stay in your own energy. Toxic people will try to convince you. Toxic people will try to make you fall in love with them, what kind of relationship it might be. Like they might want you to think that they are genius and they will help you with everything and you can come to them for anything, or they are just jealous and trying to prove themselves I'm better than you, right? They're going to put themselves on that pedestal. Or be really loud and disruptive and, trying to distract you, put themselves on that pedestal. If you don't react to that, the energy is going to shift. What I mean by this is they want to get this reaction out of you to acknowledge that what they try to portray themselves as is the truth. If you are neutral to that, nothing is going to happen. They will not get the reaction out of you that they want that will prove that they have that place on the pedestal. If you have dealt with a narcissist before, something I learned when dealing with someone like that is the gray rock method. It's essentially narcissist people will try to get this emotion out of you. They will try to maybe love bomb you or try to do stuff to make you think that they are really amazing, or try to gaslight you into thinking that your opinion is wrong, you don't matter. It doesn't matter what they're throwing at you. if they're trying to get a reaction out of you or whatever, if you just, and it's like the first time that I had to do this, it felt really cruel. It's not going to feel good if this is someone that you love or care about, but it is really effective. You just do not respond to it. You're just very neutral. Just like, oh, okay. Like, I love to acknowledge people's feelings, be there for them. This is the opposite. So that's why it was really weird for me to do that, to be just like, yeah, sure, don't really care. The gray rock method is just not matching their energy. They want you to give them a reaction, and so they will try to acknowledge how they see themselves. If you're not giving that reaction to them, the balance is still the same. You can still be equal to them. And this is an extreme example. Narcissists are like the toxicity, like top, they're on top of the toxicity scale. But like even with, for example, if people, they gaslight you. I have people gaslight me who are the sweetest people, who I had never like expected them to do that, but it is manipulation. So I had to acknowledge it and still say like, okay, I see that you come from a place of love and you mean well, and I actually don't want any conflict with you, but I'm still just going to tell you that I have my own opinion and I don't agree with you. And if you want to move forward with me, these are my conditions. And then staying with that, staying in your power, staying with that truth, although it might feel really wrong. Maybe they will try to make you feel wrong for having those boundaries. Still, if you stay with that, you stay equal. If you're going to try to avoid the conflict and be just like, oh yeah, you're right, okay, let's just make up, you're going to downplay yourself. They're on the pedestal again. How would you feel? You will feel disempowered because you did not protect yourself. You see how this works? So I want to give you an example of a wonderful client that I worked with. I'm so proud of her because she has had a really difficult past with family that did not see her value, and they made sure to let her know that. And so she second-guessed her own truth, her own opinion. I don't want to give too much away of her story because that's her story to tell, but what we worked on essentially with EFT tapping, we changed the belief of not being worthy, because that's the feeling she had because of this, because of her past. We changed that feeling of not being worthy into being worthy no matter what. She did not need the acceptance of her family. She did not need the confirmation that her truth was her truth from anyone, because we don't need that. We know within ourselves what is right, and we can believe that that is valuable enough, because you are the person who creates your life. Nobody has any authority over that, because you are the person living it, right? Isn't it just you with you? So why would anyone who tries to make us feel bad or tries to make us look something like someone different than we actually are, why would that be the truth? Why would we let those people have so much power over us? That's not okay. It's never going to be okay, because you are the creator of your own life. You create your life the way that you want it to, and you are worthy already. That's what we worked on. And if you believe that you are not worthy, that your opinion doesn't matter, if you feel not empowered because other people have tried to make you believe that it was different, that is something that you really believe. It's a neural pathway in your brain. A neural pathway is a thought that you keep thinking, which then becomes a belief. And scientifically, it is a pathway in your brain that is easily accessible because you just believe it. So you believe it all the time. If you believe something like that all the time, you're not going to stand up for yourself. You're not going to speak your truth because that feels scary, because it doesn't matter. I don't matter, right? You do matter. You are enough already because you are creating your own life. I'm just going to repeat it, because even though we know that, On some level, if we don't integrate it, if we don't truly make it a neural pathway, we're going to repeat these toxic cycles. We're going to keep attracting these toxic people who will try to show us our own truth. Toxic people can come into your life for different reasons. See it as a lesson. See it as a lesson as to how am I not showing up for myself enough? How am I letting other people manipulate my own self-worth, my own truth? Why am I believing what they're saying? Why am I going with them on this storyline? Because they want something from me. And if you don't see it yet, what they want from you, try to be observant. Don't put them on that pedestal. Manipulative people will try to love bomb you. They will try to say all the right things, right? So if you don't put them on the pedestal and still, well, they might be really amazing and they might not be a toxic person, you can still say like, okay, but I'm just as good as you. And I have my own worth and I have my own things and I have my own truth. And so it's awesome that you have this perspective on life and these interests and you like me this much and you're really awesome, but I'm really awesome as well. And that's why we date ourselves, people. Because if you know your own worth, if you believe that you are enough already, you won't try to go out of your way to change yourself for someone else. People who try to change you into becoming someone that they want don't want you for you. They're trying to take because they need something from you. They don't want you, your soul, who you truly are. No, they need something from you. And that's the difference. So I hope that through knowing that you are good enough already and you have your own things going on and you don't find the need anymore to put someone on the pedestal, that you can stay in your own power and you will see when someone is crossing your boundary and you will feel that it is your need to protect yourself that will say something about it, that will draw the line and stay there until someone takes responsibility and steps it up. Because you deserve that. That is self-respect. Especially if you have difficulty for taking good care of yourself and stepping up and feeling like, yeah, but can I really do that? Isn't that rude? Or aren't I being too much? I'm so sorry that other people made you believe that your truth isn't valuable enough, that your feelings weren't heard, that you thought that you had to give in order to be deserving of love, because that's not true. That's a lie. That's a lie that people who needed to take from you are trying to convince you to tell you that you're not enough. That is their lack mentality and has nothing to do with you. And the whole essence of this and toxic people and snakes and whatever is that it was never about you. And so we can feel so stirred up by what has happened and why they did what they did. And like, I could never do that. Like, what the hell happened? And like all these things, right? And all these emotions and the feeling of betrayal or the sadness and the confusion and the being angry. It was never about you. And that is a really difficult thing to hear because there must be a reason. I might have upset them so much that they felt the need to do this, or they might have loved me so much that they just couldn't take it anymore or whatever. The story that you build around it is going to take you, keep you in this loop of feeling all these emotions about it and doubting yourself, which is what people who are in a lack mentality make you do. They try to convince you that it's about you, that you did something wrong. It's never about you. Let me tell you why. Because they need something. And especially, for example, if you have been dealing with a narcissist in a relationship, they will find someone else who they can take from, who will easily give it to them and leave you. If it's a family member, they will try to make you the black sheep. Until you step up in your power, there will be another sibling who will become the black sheep. It's a pattern. These are patterns because it's not about you, it's about the person who will give it the easiest. It's not because you're special. You are special, by the way. But for these people, it's not about that. It's about, I have this coping mechanism, I have this need that needs to be met. How can I get it? Okay, enough about that because it's pretty depressing. It's pretty depressing. It's giving me flashbacks. So I wanted to read a quote to you from Dr. Nicole Perella, who is a psychologist, and she recently shared this, and I was like, this is the perfect quote for my episode. So here it is. To have the life that you want, you need to start the practice of disappointing people. Teach yourself that adults are capable of being upset, and that your role isn't to fix everyone else's issues. Anxiety and depression are signals that you are neglecting you. Like I said before, it's their responsibility to take ownership of their own life. If they want to go the route of taking from people and using people, that is their choice. It's not right. It's not pretty. It's not nice. It's their choice. It doesn't say anything about you. And so use that, take that, and do it differently. Don't repeat the cycles. Say, this is awful. I don't want to be like this. Let me take responsibility for my own actions. Say sorry when I need to. Walk away when I need to. Protect myself when I need to, and not put those people on, any people, on a pedestal because I'm already good enough. And it's okay to let people think things about you that might not be true. It's not your responsibility to explain yourself, to make everyone like you. As long as you like you, you're going to figure it out. And this comes from a person who had a lot of friends when she was younger, then to no friends, and now having a group of pure people in my life. I can still get emotional sometimes and like in awe of the change of letting people go has brought me. And even though you're scared to be alone for a while. Or if you're someone who gets into relationship after relationship, be single for a while. Date yourself. To explore why you are already good enough. Like my pattern of being a people pleaser stopped when I stopped giving. And I had to figure out that people would still love me if I didn't give them something. That was so unnatural for me. That's why I was lonely for a little bit. And then the people that came into my life like me for me, not what I have to give them. And there are more people in my life now than when I was younger, when I was a people pleaser. And the relationships that I've built are genuine and they are so full of love. And there are no expectations. There are no, like if people are trying to put something on me, like I should be like this, they don't do that. They just let me be me. And we're honest, we have good conversations, like the communication is amazing. And I'm not saying this because I want to make you feel bad if you're not in that situation. I just want to say that because I've come from a place where I was not empowered. I did not really like myself that much. And that can change. That client that I told you about who had the low self-esteem, she wrote me a review and you can read it on my website. She says like, it's truly a pinch me moment. So much has shifted now that I do believe that I'm worthy enough and I am the creator of my own life and that matters. I don't care if I get the recognition from the people that I wanted it from because I have it for myself. She has changed her life like around. She is also attracting new relationships into her life that reflect the value that she has. It is about the mindset. It is about how you think about yourself, but then also to take action to keep those boundaries in place, right? Like I said, like for the millionth time, to not put other people on a pedestal, but if you are doing that, put yourself on a pedestal as well. The more that you start to practice that, the more that you will see your life shift around. And I'm going to be creating an EFT session for this as well, especially for the people who have difficulty doing that. There is a reason for this, right? But if you want, you can take responsibility for that feeling so you can do it differently. So you will stop to attract toxic people in your life, or when you do, you will know when to walk away and you will walk away. Because you deserve genuine people in your life and love, and you deserve it right now. You don't have to do anything for it. You've always been deserving of that. That's just me also to my younger self. And so I know firsthand like what that is like, but I also know what it's like to be on the other side. And my client also affirmed that to me because she has gone through even more stuff that I have, and she's come out on the other end, and she's doing so well right now, loving herself, attracting beautiful opportunities in her career even. And the relationship with her family has also changed. The people that didn't value her, that has changed as well because she is empowered. So if you want to feel empowered, also with this holiday season coming around, if you have to visit family that you might not want to see, I want to make you feel empowered and confident and love yourself so much that it doesn't matter what other people say, because you are on the pedestal. I'm going to link that down below. It's going to be on my Patreon. Okay, so now if you want to let someone who is toxic go, like you've listened to this, you're just like, okay, I cannot unsee it anymore. These people or this person is draining me. I feel kind of used and I'm over it. Like I'm ready to honor myself, basically protect myself. This is my guide to let them go. So the first step in this guide, I'm just making this up right now, trying to make some jokes in a very serious episode. It's not really a joke. I have to try better. I'm bad. The first step in the guide is to identify why you let this person still be in your life. And this is the tough question. But when you figure this out, you're able to detach pretty easily. So the reason that you keep toxic people in your life is because you also get something out of it. It's always a give and take. Even if you have a really bad habit, maybe you smoke, maybe you drink, whatever it may be. Like there is a level of satisfaction that comes with the thing that you keep doing that you know is not really the right thing, or afterwards doesn't feel good, or has consequences, but you're just trying to ignore those. There is a reason why you do it, because there's a benefit that comes from it. Like I said, that's also why toxic people are toxic, because they maybe don't even like doing what they do. They might not see it. And even if they do it, I know that it won't feel good for them either, right? It's a pattern that they cannot get out of. And so what is your pattern? Why do you stay in a situation that is not honoring your worth? And with compassion, look at this. Because maybe this person that is love bombing you is giving you attention that you really needed in that moment. You just really needed someone to be there for you. And you can honor that too, because we also have our desires, and those are very valid as well. Maybe it is because that person that you keep hanging out with, who you know wants something from you, maybe you also want something from them. And so you kind of try to make it fair because like you're both taking from each other. Or maybe they acknowledge, like sometimes we want the acknowledgement or the praise from a certain parent, but we never get that, right? And so we try to get that from our partner or a friend or someone else, maybe like a teacher or colleague. But actually it's just because we have this wound open of the praise or the love that we didn't receive, and we still try to seek it from someone else later in life. These are these patterns, right? So what is it that you need that keeps this relationship going? Or situationship or something, right? Because if you know why you need it, you can start to take responsibility for that and stand in your power again. Because the reason that we keep in these patterns with these people is because we also choose to not think outside of the lack mentality. So acknowledging it helps you to feel more empowered, because now you can say, okay, maybe I don't need it from this person. Maybe there's another way, because it doesn't make me feel good and it doesn't honor me. And yes, there are some components of it that feel really, really good, and I don't want to let that go because it's awesome, or maybe it's amazing, or whatever. That's valid as well. So in my guide to let people go, there is also kind of this death, the saying goodbye, the mourning of what was. When you acknowledge why you've kept this thing going, you first have to acknowledge the feeling of you playing yourself, and then also acknowledge that with letting them go, you also let go of the thing that you got out of it. And that's not gonna feel great. It's not. I'm not lying to you. But then on the other side, there was the empowerment phase. Like I said, when I was lonely for a while, like I had no immediate friends in that period. I made a episode about this as well, something about manifesting friendships. There was a period where I choose to not be with anyone because I wanted to have better relationships, and what was me staying in a pattern that was not healthy for me, but also because of staying in it, I lied to myself. I was not honoring myself, so I stopped all of that to attract something better. I did pretty soon and easily. It sounds very dramatic, because it can feel very dramatic to be alone or to let someone go. And there is shame sometimes in that. There can be heartbreak in that. And the letting go of what you got out of it, right? I'm just trying to tell you, it's gonna be okay. It sounds dramatic, and it can be very dramatic, but then you'll be okay. So what is the reason that makes it so hard to let this person go? Are you going to shame yourself for doing so? Are they going to shame you into doing so? Or are other people going to think bad of you for letting this person go? What are the consequences if you let this person go? Thinking about these things makes it real. Maybe you've been avoiding thinking about it. And that's step 2 in the guide. What are you getting out of it? Why haven't you let this person go? Because deep down you already know that this isn't good for you. Listen to that voice, listen to that intuition. If you ignore it, you will learn a lesson from it, but it will probably not be honoring you. And so this is, like I said in the beginning of this episode, this is a practice. We sometimes still choose it because we also are used to needing something and getting it out of someone else instead of knowing how to get it ourselves. We might not have learned how to do that. We might not have stepped into that role yet. We might not feel ready to do it by ourselves. And so try to have grace with yourself, but also be discerning and also pay attention. You might not mean to try to get something from someone. You might not doing that. Just feel however this resonates. I don't want to make you feel bad, but I know that we all have these tendencies within us. And as long as you can name it, you can call it out within yourself, you will be able to call it out on other people and won't get hurt as much. Because you can put a stop to it. Because you're not responsible for how other people are feeling. You're not responsible for what other people are needing. And you don't have to be the one to give it to them. You're not their mother or their father, probably. With kids is a whole different story. We're not talking about kids today. They do need stuff from you, right? But you're not responsible for someone else's healing. You don't have to help people who don't want to help themselves. Setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You don't need to do that because it doesn't work like that. And I've tried very hard to do that. And I thought that it worked, but I just got burned myself in the process because it's their lesson to learn. And I've talked about this before, but if you are trying to help someone learn a lesson, you are learning the lesson for them. They are not. They have to do it themselves. So you're not responsible. So know why you keep in this loop. You can acknowledge it. Know what the consequences will be. Who will maybe shame you into thinking that it isn't right to let this person go. And then just go, I don't care. Because, once again, it's your life. You create your life the way that you want to. The last piece of the puzzle of this guide is, how do you want to feel instead? So this is going to be the motivation to help you let this person go. It's going to be your why. So sometimes if we have a plan and we don't follow through or it doesn't resonate with us anymore, we need to think about the why. Why are we doing what we're doing? And your why is because you need to honor your own feelings. You need to honor yourself. You need to protect yourself, right? But also, how do you want to feel instead? For example, when I was in my people-pleasing mode and I was giving and other people were taking, there were a lot of taker people around me. I thought to myself, how do I want to feel instead? And I did not want to have to give in order to be appreciated. I wanted to feel relaxed. I wanted to just be myself. I wanted to feel heard, feel seen, because I did not feel heard or seen. I just didn't feel good enough. And so I wanted to feel good enough. No matter what stage I was in, no matter what I was doing, no matter how successful or unsuccessful I was, I just wanted to feel seen and appreciated and loved for who I was, not what I was doing or wasn't doing. That's how I wanted to feel. And that's helped me so much to proceed in taking the steps to find the people that resonated with me. And also, letting someone go doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Like I said in the beginning and throughout this episode, we all have toxic traits. It's about, how can I honor myself and feel empowered and not put people on pedestals, because I want you to feel empowered because you are good enough, right? So I really hope that this helped. Know that you can date yourself, that you are already good enough, and you deserve the absolute best. And anyone that is going to tell you that you don't, they're lying. They're lying to you. They're lying to themselves. And it's not worth it to put energy into that. Ooh, last tip that I have for you. Some people are trying to put their energetic stamp on you. Just like you will feel them around you, even if they're not there, you will feel their energy. If you are psychic like me, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you are a highly sensitive person, you will probably know what I'm talking about. Just like when you walk in a room where something happened and you can just you don't feel right. It doesn't feel good, right? Or if you just broke up with someone, or when you want to let someone go, but they're just still around you. Doesn't feel right. 3 tips that I have for you to energetically clear yourself. First one, salt bath. Salt is clearing. Might sound a little bit weird. I had to get used to it too, but salt is energy clearing. So just run yourself a bath, put salt in it. Not too much, but fair amount. Like maybe half a handful, let's just say 1/4 of a cup. And then also sage. I love my sage. Smoke is also clearing for your energetic field. And then the 3rd tip that I have for you is imagining that you are in a column of light. This is the source light, and it's clearing away everything that isn't yours. You can set an intention, you can set a prayer that everything that isn't yours is being given back to the person who it was from. And you are now in your own energy. You are standing now in your own truth. And there's nothing that can penetrate your energy field. It's just you with you and the universe with God, however you want to call it. and it's cleared away. You're clear. You're clean now. That's something that you can set as an intention. I already felt better saying that. Because we're energetic beings. Like, if you haven't heard me talk about this, you're just like, what the fuck is she talking about? Soul path, what? We all have our own energy. Like, if someone isn't saying how they're feeling, but you can just feel that they're really angry or sad or whatever, you can feel that, right? It's in their energetic field. And we can mix energetic fields with each other. And so someone can energetically put their emotions onto you. They can energetically make you feel like you are with them or need to do something. Like, energy is always moving. And so we get these energies mixed. And if you don't want to be influenced by someone, you also have to clear your energetic field. So try that. Let me know how that goes. If you want more tips like that, also let me know. It's a different type of topic. It's the spiritual side of how people can influence you. But just being empowered, staying in your own truth, listening to yourself, listening to your own intuition should do the trick already. This is just like, if you really want to do a little bit extra. If you want to work with me further, if you want to know more about how I can help you, as always, check the links below. If you want to join my EFT tapping class workshop on Patreon, also check that out. It's below. I would love to see you there. And I hope you have a really amazing week. May something wonderful happen to you. And I hope to see you in another episode. Love you guys. Bye.